My name is Eric Covey. My project analyzes the optimal location of solar farms in the United States. Some background. Photovoltaic power, or PV power, as I'll refer to it, is the least utilized renewable energy source in the United States. The EIA estimates that it provides about 0.1% of the power of the U.S., at least for this last year. It is now used only in rural locations far from the grid, like in the mountains, to power telephone lines, or in extremely rural locations where they can't have any other form of power. Recent solar installations have proven to be more and more cost effective as we increase our knowledge and technology and stuff, compared to nuclear power, which can take about 20 years to pay off for a 30-year lifespan. Recent solar farms have taken about 10 years estimated to pay off, and they have a much longer lifespan. This is clearly a very cost-effective renewable energy resource and should definitely be expanded upon. Therefore, and since oil, coal, and natural gas reserves are predicted to be run out in 40, 200, and 70 years respectively, clearly renewable energy needs something to be expanded upon. Therefore, I'm proposing that if photovoltaic farms were placed near major population centers, they can provide a lot more of the power than they currently provide, and they can replace a significant amount of fossil fuel use. In the past, I used ArcGIS to manually search for areas that were relatively flat. They were open, not forested. They weren't being used for any farmlands or as any part of a state park or wildlife preserve or any other mining use or anything. And I would use NREL's PV watts calculator to take each location and pair it with an approximate estimate of the solar potential for 1 year for a 1 meter square area of the solar panel. Now, I didn't have a solar farm area or technical specifications yet, and I was just getting a bunch of data, and it was very slow, and I did about 2/3 of the analysis because I had to go through each state looking for low population density areas, and I just used the satellite imagery or the road imagery to basically find an area which I thought would be suitable. Now, it was extremely slow. I may have missed some areas. Areas I might have found might have been considered off limits, even though I might not have thought so. And basically, it doesn't provide any systematic method for finding these sites. So what I'm proposing to do is I'm going to set up a series of buffers in ArcGIS on different major roads, U.S. institutions like national parks, state parks, hospitals. I think that's basically schools, high population density areas, major roads, radically changing topographical areas, and like the city centers, which are super high population density. Next, I'm going to run a query for areas of enclosure of 7,000 meters squared. I chose 7,000 meters squared because the area of a solar farm in Spain that has done very well and is providing a model for several other solar farms being used has an area of 7,000 meters squared. I have the complete technical specifications for this, including costs of the various parts, and I want to use this as a model solar farm for my system. And next, I'm going to either use NREL PV watts calculator or a solar potential data file if I can find one, or acquire one from a company. I haven't really gotten any good responses back on that from any company, so I'm probably going to use NREL's PV watts calculator. But again, I'm going to pair each location with a data set of solar potential. And I'm going to use that and use the data from the running of the solar farm which I found to give an estimate on how much solar power each farm and each location could output. I'm also going to run a hillside shade analysis with the spatial analyst in ArcGIS to make sure that any sunlight that the area gets isn't going to be shadowed by any shade on the north-facing hill face. That's just another point in my analysis. And after this, I'm going to analyze the cost and benefit of each site. I have a land cost file. I made a land cost file in ArcGIS from aggregate land data that I found online, showing how much the land would cost to buy from either the government or the power company. I'm going to factor in the installation cost of the PV system, which I have the cost from my previous research into this model solar farm I'm using. And then I'm going to use the approximate PV output and the cost of electricity in each area to calculate the theoretical payoff time of each site. And I'm just going to say if it's either 10 years or less, I'm going to say it as a reasonable investment for an energy company, because as I've discussed, nuclear energy, which is one of the biggest renewable energy sources now, has a payoff time of about 20 years for a 30-year lifespan. I'm looking to significantly reduce that time. And that's how I'm going to use GIS, is that GIS is going to run the query. Instead of me having to try and find areas of 7,000 meters squared open in the land, GIS can find that for me, and they can make a layer of that, and I can get an entire just file of locations and different things from the locations on ArcGIS before I just had to rely on my visual cues. Next, I'm going to create a layer of about 5 possible sites in each state or around each metro area, depending on what I have time for. And these sites will be prominently displayed on a map of the United States. And I want to import a table that shows the cost and benefits of an entire system of these photovoltaic institutions, and with an approximate payoff time and approximate cost. And I can attach a file of each cost-benefit analysis of each institution itself. Which leads into the end result of this project should be a clear map of a potential system of several PV institutions that could significantly reduce the use of fossil fuels in the United States. And the map would be displayed in ArcGIS. And on the map would be a table saying how much the system costs, how much power it could replace, and how much time it would take to pay off the whole system, with either a link or just an attached file that is a more line-by-line breakdown of each individual part of the system itself.